Welcome back to Mixing Up Success. Today, I'm joined by Lynne, the baker behind Treats by Lynne, a custom sugar cookie business that began during a season of unemployment while she was living in New York City. What started as a creative outlet quickly grew through word of mouth to the point where she was turning away multiple orders a week. What makes Lynne's story especially meaningful is her honesty around choice. Even as her business grew, she made the intentional decision to keep her full-time job, navigating corporate work, pregnancy, stability, and timing with clarity and self-trust. Her story is a reminder that success doesn't have to look like going all in at once, and that patience can be a powerful business strategy. Welcome, Lynne.
Hi, Dani. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited to learn about your cookie journey. So, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about Treats by Lynne, what your business is, what it looks like, and how you got started?
Sure. Well, like you said, I did get laid off, and that was in 2023. It was my first time being laid off. I found out later that's actually quite common, and I had no idea what to do with myself. I mean, I enjoyed the city. I was in Manhattan. I traveled a lot. I had other friends who were unemployed, so we connected, but I just didn't feel like I was adding any value to society. I'm like, I'm that type of person where like I value myself by what I can give or output.
Yeah.
And my friends were having like birthdays and getting engaged, and it got so expensive, especially in a high, cost of living area, that I was like, I need to do something where I can share my talents. And I think I was watching these like flooding cookies on Instagram, and I think I got served an ad from Summer Sweet Shop and for a course, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try this. I didn't even finish the course. I think I got through like the first module, and I was just hooked. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this my own way, and everything else I just kind of learned on my own. It was a really good like foundational tutorial. And I don't know, started making cookies for all of my friends' big events. And funny enough, I actually didn't start my business until 2 years later, that like after I started my new job, because I just didn't want to give it up. And like getting laid off does something to you. It just makes you reflect on like, man, I need to build on my personal skills and what I love rather than just focusing on my career, because these big
Mhm.
corporations are not going to care about me like I care about me.
I think that's a great story. Did you start selling right away, or were you just giving your products away to friends and
It was just friends and family for the first couple of years. I didn't even think about selling.
Mhm.
And when I did, when they were like, you can sell these because they're so pretty, I was thinking, well, no one's going to buy from me. Like, look at all of these shops on Etsy. Look at all of these vendors, especially in New York City. It's like oversaturated. And then I started thinking, how do I differentiate myself? Maybe I'll make weed cookies. Like, I don't smoke weed, but like, there's definitely a market for it.
find that
Right.
niche?
That's exactly it. And it turns out I didn't even need to do that. What really took like my business to like a whole other level was someone in at like a New York women's group in on Reddit was like, hey, does anyone know who does custom cookies like this for this weekend? And I said, I do. And I'm thinking of starting a business. And it got so many upvotes within the first hour. And I'm today, and that was over a year ago. And today I'm still getting orders from that one post. It's
That's
incredible.
amazing.
About like 80% of my leads at first were just from that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you took a risk and you put yourself out there.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I asked because I started very similarly, and I started by pretty much just friends and family, and I was just like
Mhm.
giving them away, and I was like, oh, they're not good enough.
Right.
I mean, see the talent that's out there in the world, and I think
Yeah.
I don't stand a chance.
I seen Yuki's and I was like, there's no way anyone's going to buy from me.
Right. But for me, it took one friend saying, Dani, you should just sell these. You should sell them. And I thought, well, okay, like I'll try. And it
Right.
took like one thing and it's like this ball that starts rolling. And next thing you know, you're like, whoa, how many cookies do I want to make?
Yeah, I can't believe like what a huge demand there was for it. And part of it I thought was maybe just my location, right? There's always huge events going on, and like within a month I got corporate orders, which I never thought I would do or be able to get. They weren't like sponsorships or like brand deals, but they were just corporate orders for events. Then
Yeah.
yeah, those just started flooding in too, and I'm like, I'm just really lucky to be, I guess, in this area too.
That's awesome. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what your business looks like today.
It's just out of my home kitchen. I have a cottage food license. In December, I mean, December is like hell month for bakers. I hired like three of my friends, and they were like little, worker elves in my kitchen. And I'll never do that again, I don't think. And I did classes too that month, and I did a bunch of cookie kits for companies, and it was fun. I made a ton more money than I thought I would ever make, but I don't think I'm going to put myself through that again. So now it's just, I'll just take orders that I feel like taking. I am a people pleaser, so it's very hard for me to say no. But then I remember, there are just so many options for them. Like they're going to find someone who can do this for them. But like I got a request next week for heated rivalry themed cookies, and I was like, I love this show. I will drop
Yeah.
anything I have to make these cookies. So really, it's just about taking the orders I want to take now.
Yeah, and leaning into what excites you. I think
Yeah.
in creativity, I don't know if you face this because our businesses are really creative, right? We're making this
Mm.
custom artwork, edible artwork. There are some weeks where I just can't show up creatively, or some design requests that I'm just like,
Yeah.
really? Really? Like, it's just not me and it doesn't speak to me. And it's really hard to show up to do the work. Do
Yeah,
you?
I actually heard this on your podcast with Nikki, and like I could not resonate more with that because like right now I'm doing a baby shower. And she was just like, baby shower. I'm like, well, what's the theme? And she's like, I
Yeah.
don't know, flowers. I'm like, you're giving me nothing to go off of. And I know they're trying to be kind. They're like, just have fun with it. I'm like, this is not fun. This is stressful with the vague instructions.
So I have one full-time employee that bakes with me and helps me with all of my cookie work. And I sometimes literally show her, like, I'm like, look at what they gave me. Look at what I came up with. I was like, can we feature this somewhere?
Yeah.
Because sometimes literally you're like, two sentences or one
Hmm.
sentence is all you have, and you're supposed to create
Yeah.
something that represents them.
Yeah, I know. And you're really proud when you can do it. You're like, look what I've created. But then when you can't,
Hmm.
you're like, I don't want to take pictures of this. I don't want to
Yeah.
show this on my Instagram.
Yeah, it is interesting. So let's talk a little bit about growth through word of mouth because you have indicated that that has been huge in your business. So tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about how you feel about word of mouth, how you've used word of mouth. Did you incentivize anybody to refer people to you, or how did it work?
So, like per cookie, I mean, it's the same amount of work. So I don't give any like quantity discounts. And I don't think I can give referral discounts either, unless like I really mess up on an order and I'm like, your next one is 50% off. Don't worry about it. But I did set up like a Google business for people to leave reviews. I think that's huge. I didn't mention this, but I'm in marketing. Like that is my full-time job. So this part has been really fun for me. Just like trying different things. Yeah, setting up those reviews and asking people for them. And honestly, word of mouth has been really helpful. Obviously.
Can you share a little bit about your marketing background? Because in my experience, I don't have a marketing professional background. I have
Mhm.
a business background. But in my experience with small businesses, no matter what the type of small business, it's the marketing piece that gets overlooked or underestimated in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. For a small business, where did you focus for your marketing? You
Yeah, that's
said
such a
Google.
great question. Yeah, that's a great question because when you're starting out, you think like, oh my God, I'm going to get 20 followers on my Instagram and like no
Yeah.
one's going to, like, I'm not going to get any orders and I'm just going to fail. And like you said, it's just important just to put yourself out there. Like, don't be afraid to be known as the cookie person, like, or the person that always brings sweets to a party. Because once they do need cookies or treats or whatever, like you're the first person that come to mind. The Google reviews helped a lot. I was really thinking, I actually had my friends write them first, which shouldn't be saying that, but they did all have my cookies. They put pictures up of the cookies I made for them. So they're real customers too. And that got the ball rolling for other people to put up their reviews.
Do you follow up with each order and ask for a review? Is it part of your ordering or
I
follow-up?
used to. Now I've just gotten a bit lazy. So whenever they ask me if they can put a review, I give them the link, but I really should be, to be honest. And then I was really excited to like get into like, you know, paid and organic search and stuff. And it turns out like I didn't even need to do that. If I started paying
Mhm.
for search, I don't think I'd be able to fulfill my orders.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I I live in a small town. Like, your population is so different from mine. I
Yeah.
mean, my entire uh county that I live in the state of Oregon, 30,000, less than 30,000
All
people.
right.
And I make and sell between 30 and 40,000 cookies every year. And if you told me that was even humanly possible, I would have been like, no, there's not enough people, right? Like,
Right.
not because I'm only going to market, like, I can only serve a certain
Right.
audience, right? It's a specialty product.
Hmm.
Now I have a wider net and I do ship some cookies, but most of it is like pretty local. And I don't pay for any of that advertising either
Yeah.
because I'm like, I cannot possibly accommodate more.
And I think you've gotten to the point in your career where you've created demand in your area
Hmm.
instead of like for me that
Yeah,
I entered in and the demand was here. Um,
right.
yeah. So you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I think it is funny. I entered when starting my cookie business, and I was like, I am going to be known in my local
Yes.
area as the go-to cookie decorator.
Yes.
Like, that is what I'm gonna be known for, and I think I accomplished that. And then I was like, "Okay, well, like, we're really busy, so we gotta move on to the next thing. Like, let's maintain where we're at here," and that's
No,
where
but that
we've branched
personal
in.
branding, yeah, personal branding is
Mhm.
really important. That's the first thing that you should be thinking about is how you want to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think about that's interesting in custom cookie work specifically, it's separate from other baked goods, is that my style is not going to resonate with
Mhm.
everyone, right? Because it's very unique. It's an artist, and my medium is royal icing.
Right. Me too.
And so I think that was hard for me at the beginning because I was like, I am also a people pleaser. And I was like, oh, I want to make it how they want. And as I have become more seasoned in my business, I've definitely become more comfortable about like, hey, if my style is not your style, no problem. Here's a list of people that might work. Do you
I
have
love
any
that.
thoughts on that?
No, I love that. I'm the same way, mostly with my time because I'm pretty flexible with style. If they know exactly what they want, I'm like, all right, I can do that. I have a projector, right?
Hmm.
Eventually, I do want to develop my own style and get to that point where you are. Right now, I'm just again taking the orders I want to take. Again, if it is heated rivalry or like Lunar New Year is really important to me. Those kinds like some customers are very particular and if the theme resonates with me, I'll do what they want. But I do want to eventually get to that point where I'm like, I have my own style. If you don't like it, that's fine. Here are other people you can go to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think that leads us into sustainability, right? And
sure.
what the business model is. So, like, your business is not full time cookie work, right?
Right.
So, that helps probably define what it is that you're taking in. Can we talk about sustainability and your decision to not go all in on cookies but still maintain a side business?
Yeah, I'm one of those people, and you probably are too, and I think a lot of bakers are, where you're like, whatever you do, you want to put your whole heart into it, right? So, like, when I started, all these orders came pouring in. I was like, I can't wait to be like, do you know Funny Face Bakery? I don't know if you know
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like right here and they charge like $25 a cookie and they hang out with celebrities and like go on the morning show and whatever. And I was like, that's gonna be me one day. And as I was doing it and as I was going through the whole IVF process, I'm like, you know what? That's okay if that's not me.
Yeah.
There's actually a quote I really love. Let me pull it up. Oh, some
Yeah.
people work doing what they love and other people work so that they can do what they love when they're not working. And neither is more noble. And when I read that, it gave me like a sense of calm of like, you know what? I have this great job with a great team who understand that like people have their own lives outside of work. And so they
Mhm.
stop right at 5 and they're like, if we can't get our work done between 8 and 5, we're doing something wrong. And I'm like, that's great. I love that. And so that
Mhm.
allows me to then pursue this hobby that makes me happy. I mean, once it stops making me happy, I'm going to stop doing it, right? But do you listen to the Mel Robbins podcast by any
Of
chance?
course I do.
Yeah,
I
as people
listen to them
pleasers, we
all.
have to. um,
Yes.
there was one about, I don't remember if it was like creating your own business or like having a side hustle or something, but she said like you don't have to go all in. If you could just make
Mhm.
$1,000 off of something you love, just do it, like $1,000 a month. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's my goal now. It's just $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to sustain me. It doesn't have to, put my kids through college. Like it's just something I love that gives me a little bit of something extra on the side for right now, at least.
Yeah, I love that, and I think every phase of life kinda has a season, and your
Mhm.
priorities are gonna shift depending on what's happening in that season.
Yeah.
When I first started, it was just kind of like a side hustle, and I never expected it to take off like it did. I really thought, "Oh, it'd just be like, a few $100 a month, just."
Right.
I literally my son was, 1 and 2 when I was, like, first starting, and I would joke with him, I'm like, "All right, cookie fund money," like, it was, like, I would spend it on extra fun stuff. Like, it
Mhm.
was meant for us to have just fun with, and I remember when I shifted to full-time, and I I had sat him down and I was like, "Hey, bud, like, cookie money is no longer fun money," because it's a huge shift, right? But I think going back to you don't have to go all in is really I think some people need to hear that.
Mhm.
You do not have to go all in today or tomorrow or ever if it's not what you want to do. If you just want to do it on the side, can do that. There's no wrong way to do it, right?
Exactly. I think the whole infertility process, I've been doing IVF for 2 years and I'm finally pregnant, and I think it's really taught
Yay.
me. Thank you. I think it's really taught me to be patient because you have to
Mhm.
wait, for so long for like every test or every point, and it's taught me to live life just week to week. I'm like, this is all I
Yes.
can handle this week. And who knows what's going to happen next week. So like who knows, maybe next year I will have my own space, my own little studio, or do this full time. Like God forbid I get laid off. Like I have options, right? But right now, there's no reason for me to take this leap
Mhm.
in the phase that I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that and being very vulnerable. I want to share that I recently, in one of my podcasts, shared that I stumbled on this journal, right? And I had a 10-year plan in this journal, and I'm in year 10, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's all coming true. Like I'll finish off the last things this year. And I was showing it to a friend, and she was like, most people were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And she looked at it, and she's in the IVF process. And she
Mhm.
goes, yeah, well, Danny, some people can't just write it down and make it happen. And I was like, you know what? I deserve that.
That's
Like, she is so right because I did. I wrote down, like, I want to have a kid here and I want to have a
mhm.
kid here. And it was just a really good reminder that we can't always plan these things. And
Yeah.
as women, we're often forced to make really hard decisions that
Yeah.
impact us physically a
Yes.
lot
And
too.
mentally.
Yes. And so
No.
that was a really good reminder. But in my own fertility struggles, I did experience a miscarriage. And you know what I
That's tough.
did? I literally walked in a week after that experience and quit my job. Like something had to change. I just said to myself, I can't do this. I can't build a family and do this work.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so I had no plan. I had no plan of what I was doing. But I recognized if I wanted a family, this was not the
Yeah.
path. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah, I think I share that because I think sometimes we need to know that other people have all these things rolling around in the back of their mind.
Yes. We're all struggling out here and just doing our best. I mean, I worked for my father's company for a few years. It's a medium-sized company. And then I went to get my MBA, right? And
Okay.
I had all of these dreams of, being some chief something officer somewhere. I ended up working for a Fortune 500 company. That was like a new challenge to me. Things like things change, especially with this fertility journey. I took a lower paying job, but again, because that flexibility and because my team is so amazing that I can take time off from my IVF appointments and be really honest about like my pregnancy journey. I mean, they knew before. Before my parents knew that I was pregnant, because they were just so supportive. It's fine that I'm getting paid less. Is it optimal? No, but yeah, you can't control everything in life. And I am really proud of you though for achieving everything you said you would achieve. It's amazing.
Well, I've always been a pretty goal-driven person, and I do
Mhm,
believe in, setting your mind to things and
mhm.
putting it up on the shelf and
Yeah,
making it happen. But it's hard. The last 10 years have been very hard, and
yeah,
I've had to make a lot of hard decisions, but I feel confident that I'll look back in the, next 10 years and be like, "Oh, wow,
yeah,
I did
yeah.
it." So
Oh, I love that.
well, thank you for sharing a little bit about that and insight into, just what has influenced how you run your cookie business, right?
Yeah.
Can you share what you feel proud of in your cookie business? And like, what are you most proud of in building out this side business?
Well, I'll start with like my two favorite feelings. One is when I impress myself with designs. I'm like, when you take a step back when you're done, you're like, oh my God, I did that. Love that feeling. Just love being challenged. And then the second feeling is like when you hand off your cookies to someone, and honestly, I love doing like meetups for delivery. And their faces light up. They're like, oh my God, my sister's gonna love this, or my dad's gonna love this. That to me, there's just no better feeling.
Yeah, I'm glad you share that because I've often had people, like especially in my early years, that were like, "Oh, I can deliver for you, or I can help hand cookies out, or whatever."
Yes.
And I'm like, "No, you can't take that away from me."
That's the best part.
Yeah,
Also, you cannot pay me enough to ship, and it's not just because I
yeah,
don't get, that reaction, but also because the time it takes to package and
yeah,
then and then that anxiety of, like, when it gets there, are they gonna be broken or are they gonna be, like, not fresh?
yeah.
Yeah.
I shipping is no joke in cookie world,
Yeah.
and I don't like to ship custom cookies. So actually, right
Mm.
before I jumped on with you, we were packing up it was 120 custom order, and I'm shipping it because she's a few hours away and she just couldn't coordinate picking them up. I ended up
Mhm.
making 140 cookies because I'm like, some are gonna break. Like, I'm just really nervous about it. I had to like downsize the cookie to make sure I could pack it correctly. And I wrap each one in bubble wrap and like
Yeah.
the amount of time it takes. And then I'm like scared. I'm just like, until it arrives, I'm just like, is
You're
it
on
gonna
your
make
toes.
it? Yeah. Also, recently just run into tremendous delay issues, and
Mhm.
so it's definitely something I don't really advertise very much, and I don't
Yeah.
really promote that I ship. I do ship a lot of
Yeah.
holiday cookies or pre-designed cookies
Yeah, that makes
because that
sense.
expectation's a little bit lower, and if they open it up and there's a couple broken cookies, they're like, "Well, we just eat
Right.
those first."
Right.
And so I don't worry so much about that, but custom work is like it stresses me out. So I
Yeah.
feel you.
You put so much work into them and then they arrive broken. I did that yesterday. I handed off to a customer and like a tiny bit of like one of my icing transfers kind
Mm.
of came off and I told her, I was like, don't pay me for that. She's like, are you kidding? I'll just like you said, she's like, I'll just eat that one first. It's really not a big deal. And I feel so blessed to have met just amazing women. And they're all women, by the way, all my customers.
I'm glad you say that because
Yes.
Valentine's was recent, and I was thinking to myself, I was writing a blog or something, and I tracked like my customer base, and I was like, it's
Mhm.
like 99% women.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, because women bear the responsibility
Yeah.
of being the magic makers.
Right. The gift bringers,
Mhm.
the to be like the thoughtful ones. Yeah. We're the party planners and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a real reminder about, like, even on Valentine's Day or,
Mhm. Yeah,
something that,
point.
you know, I've tried to build a local retail environment where it's like a one-stop shop for a husband or a dad or
Right.
something
Right, right.
because I'm like, "How great would this be?" I can't get them in. It's
Yeah.
always
They're
the
not thinking
women.
about this.
And I don't
They're like,
blame them, but I'm like, I try to give you an easy spot."
um,
How do you say no to an order? Because you have to
ugh,
say no. And that I think is one of the hardest things for people, especially when they're getting started, because it might be something you're excited about. But what strategies do you use or what do you tell yourself that helps you just say
yeah.
no? I don't have the capacity for this.
Yeah. That's funny. I think a lot of us cookie makers or bakers start off as people pleasers, right? Like we
Hmm.
love to make beautiful things
Yeah.
for people. I did have the hardest time saying no at first. And my second order, I charged very little. It was to my realtor. I charged her very little, and I just remember that feeling eating me up because I was doing, like, layered designs too, and it took me
Hmm.
so long, and I had this feeling and I didn't resent her for it, obviously, because I set the price, but I was like, "Ugh, I hate this order. I'm getting paid so little for it," and just, like, remembering that feeling, makes me feel, honestly, less bad about raising my prices,
Hmm.
just valuing myself, so that in itself, honestly, will eliminate a lot of inquiries. They're like, "Okay, well, this is too out of my range." And I'm like, "That's fine. There are a bunch of Etsy sellers that are probably in your range if you have the lead time." And then I also have a lead time, right? If I do have the capacity, I charge them an exorbitant rush fee. And if
Yeah.
they want to pay it, they can pay it. Um, and yeah, just reminding myself that, like, I don't know when this switch flipped because last year I took every order, even if it made me cry at 3 in the morning.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, I think it was around Christmas time when I was getting burnt out. I just thought, like, there are other people doing this and these customers can go find them. I
Yeah.
am not the only option in town. In fact, I started this last year and I thought it was oversaturated. Like, there are other people doing this. I also follow like a million cookie makers, so I know that I'm reminded that they have options,
Yeah.
and it's not all on me.
I think locally, I just keep tabs on the local options. And then I
Mhm.
just like, if I'm like, I can't do it, here's a list.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
just
that's
kind
great.
of hand it off and hope that they find something. But I
Hmm.
struggle. I still struggle. I say yes to almost everything because of where I'm at, and I don't
Yeah.
have the huge population to pull from, and
Hmm.
so I do end up saying yes, way more than I probably should, but I've built systems so that
Right.
I can do that now, without completely burning out, but I think, I don't know a baker that doesn't burn out in December.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet one. So, the way I
That's
have gotten
fair.
to where I manage that now is,
Yeah.
when my kids get out of school, I'm closed. I
Mm.
I turn off social media, I delete it from my
Hmm.
phone, and
Oh,
I
that's
check out.
great.
Yeah, I check out from the day they get out of school until they go back to school, and
Wow.
I schedule things, that's
Right.
the bonus of scheduling out some stuff, but
Hmm.
that is the one point of year that I turn off everything. I don't check
Hmm.
email, I don't check social, because in cookies, I found that I could make almost 40% of my annual sales in October, November, and December. And so
Wow.
I started backing up and saying, "Well, how do I survive that?"
Hmm.
Right?
The like
Like,
prep work.
yeah, and I call it my cookie monster season. That's what we call it in-house, and it's like clockwork. Like,
Wow.
mid-September, it just
Yeah.
starts, and it just ramps up, and so I created a drop dead. Everybody shuts off. I give my employees the 2 weeks paid off. We shut
Amazing.
down, and so it's like the incentive to, like, push through where we can make our money as a bake and push through to that recovery
I
period.
really love that you use like your sales insights and then you actually build processes around them. That's so impressive.
Yeah, so I'll share a little bit about how I run that season because I think it would be helpful for you and for
Yeah,
other cookie businesses. But
please.
so yeah, so I design all of my Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas sets,
Hmm.
pre-design everything, my DIY kits, my decorated sets in July and August. And I set everything up. I order all my
Hmm.
supplies. And then in September, I launch a corporate ordering where it was
Oh,
with like my corporate accounts like that
yeah,
they buy for parties, they buy for employee gifts, they buy for lots of
yeah.
different things, and I tell them if they're not booked by October 15th, they're not, like, there's no chance.
Oh, I love that boundary setting.
And that corporate allows me to pre-purchase everything for the rest of the year, right? All my
Mm.
supplies, pretty much. So it cash flows my
Right.
ability to bulk up on boxes and all of the things that I need for the busy season,
Oh,
which has been great. So that
yeah,
strategy has been really
yeah.
helpful.
Wait, do you
And
have everyone prepay?
yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
do the whole 50% deposit thing, but
So
just because I'm
for
not really established yet, right?
yeah,
So I don't, yeah.
there's a lot of different models. And so
Hmm.
when I book a custom order, the payments due the day the order goes out. And I will be
Yeah.
honest that I've been burned with that policy a
Oh
few
my gosh.
times where
There's
it's like,
nothing worse than that, than like spending so much time on the cookies and they're like, no, we can't pick them up today. Or I'm like, wait, what?
yeah, or
Yeah.
we decided we didn't want them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, that happens. It
Yeah.
happens. But it hasn't happened enough that I feel like I need to change my policy. And the reason I set that as my custom billing is because most of the time, as soon as I book an invoice, they just pay
Mm-hmm.
it. And
Yeah.
or they say, "Hey, can I pay at pickup with cash or whatever it is?"
Right.
And so I'm usually not worried about it. But I also it takes all of that admin work off my plate because it's like
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And so that's where I didn't want to have to be like, okay, now you owe another half or
Yeah.
another piece.
That's
So I was
true.
just eliminating a step for myself.
Yeah. That's like another email you don't have to send out, which, lawyers charge like $400 for.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's time consuming.
It is time consuming. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then on our holiday stuff, all of our holiday, we always do a pre-sale. And so through our
Okay.
website where you can just purchase the pre-designed stuff outside of custom work. Any custom work has to be booked pretty much by October 15th for our busy season.
Hmm.
And then we run a in-person retail event for each holiday. And I have been able to, so I do have a physical location, right?
Hmm.
And I could have more like retail or walk-in business, but I
Right.
don't want it because I need the flexibility.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't want to staff something.
Right.
I have young kids. I'm constantly juggling other
Hmm.
businesses and other things.
Yeah.
Um
Also, I don't know how you keep like inventory fresh like that either.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I do is I have built out spreadsheets and production logs, and that's why I know, like, I don't know what it is today, but I've made over 160,000 cookies under Danny's Kitchen Shop because I've
I
counted
love
every
how
cookie.
organized you are. It's insane.
So, but I know what my team can do. So my
Hmm.
team of two people, Mercedes, my baker, and I together, if we're on and it's go
Hmm.
season, she and I can do 2,000 cookies a week.
Oh my God.
Which is a lot. We can't do it for, like, we go, like, 3 weeks like that, and then we have to
Hmm.
have a break week where it's just, like, maybe a few hundred or
Absolutely.
something, but we can back out the holiday season and map out
Hmm.
pre-selling like Christmas. We sell by the week and
Oh,
stuff,
smart.
and yeah, so then we know what we're capable of, and so
Right.
I make about 8,000, Christmas cookies every year.
My God.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
insane. Yeah.
But I think that I share that because it's like I never ever imagined, and I went
Mhm.
through the chaos of Christmas where I was like, what did I do? And it's Christmas Eve. And I'm like, my family's like, are you showing up? And I'm like, I've still got
I don't
cookies to
know.
pack. And I did that. And I really was like, this isn't
Yeah.
sustainable.
Do you freeze cookies or do you do you pre-make anything?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
do. So I have so the reason we're able to do what we're able to do is we have a very structured it's only like a week in advance or a little bit, but we make and freeze a certain amount and then we use that week ahead for like that 2000 cookie week.
Right.
But yeah,
Crazy.
we do build inventory um around holidays,
Mm.
a few weeks in advance and freeze.
I met this woman in Hoboken, and she owns a business called For Cupsakes, and they're actually really big now. And honestly so impressed by her. And I went to go visit her studio just to see, like, is it something I want to do, and maybe like I'll help her out part time. She does the Macy's Christmas market,
Mm.
and now she's doing the Chelsea market, and then she has like millions of custom orders. I have no idea how these people are doing it. Just absolutely no idea, especially with the retail front. How are you making sure that things are fresh? Like, to me, all of that sounds so overwhelming. And you shared that in the beginning, it did to you too. And like now you're here.
Yeah, I think that's why I promote systems, right?
Hmm.
You have to figure out systems. Like if you want to really grow and people are only going to pay so much for cookies.
Yeah.
So like to scale, you have to figure out how to really build production efficiently.
Mhm.
And, I spent years timing myself on decorating, like just with
Yeah.
my iPhone and just like,
Yeah.
I would like flood a tray and then hit a
Yeah.
lap, flood a tray, hit a lap. And I'd like play games like, how fast can I go? Can I do this one faster? And
I do that.
that data though
Hmm.
allowed me to really be like, well, what am I capable of? Like what physically, because
Yeah.
cookie decorating is very physical work, like on our
It
body.
is.
And
Yo, yeah. No, it's true, and it's so time consuming. But you're right, like your back and your wrists, your finger.
yeah. Yeah. So I think finding little things like that is really fun for me and building a system that allows us. I mean, the easiest system, the one I like to share when I was like
Mhm.
scaling, because when I first started, I would like bake the cookie and then put it on a cooling rack,
Right,
like take it
right.
off the tray, put it on a rack, and then I would like move it multiple times in the decorating process.
Mhm.
And when I started scaling, I was like, I'm losing seconds
Uh-huh.
each time I move a cookie.
Right.
And so now we load trays. Like if we're projecting, we load trays to just shift the whole tray. Never touch the cookies, just shift
Amazing.
the tray because,
So professional.
well, you just shave off time, right? And anything, time is money when you're
Yeah,
like, when you go all in and this is how you're going to make a living.
right.
Well, Lynn, we have covered a lot, and I know we kind of derailed here, but I think we had some great conversation that would be hopefully helpful for up and coming bakers. Could you share with us how your definition of success has shifted over the years in your business?
Yeah, I mean, like, I did talk about, Funny Face Bakery and how, like, one day I was like, "I'm gonna be them," and or even, I don't know if you know Angel Baked NYC.
Mm.
She used to be a former Rockette and a model. She's gorgeous, and she does a lot of like, sponsorship deals, and, like, she made 10,000 cookies for Cartier over the holidays,
I think I
and
saw that. Yeah.
oh my God, insane. And I send these stories to my friends. I'm like, one day this will be me. And it's not that I'm losing ambition. I'm just taking it step by step. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's my definition of success. Is like, am I enjoying this? Yes or no? Are people still willing to pay this price for my product? And it's still quality? Yes or no? And yeah, like I said, like once I stop enjoying it, I'm just going to stop doing it. But for now, like making some stranger's baby shower special, that is everything to me. Like, that is success. Like, you enjoyed this, that means everything to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think cookies certainly give us a purpose in our communities.
Yes.
And I love having that purpose of
Yeah.
celebrating. I
Yeah.
celebrate so many life moments that it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, in a corporate job, it's like it's really hard to find the direct impact. I mean, yes, you're
Yeah.
always supposed to be tracking your KPIs, whatever, but you don't get to see the impact of your work. But and usually you're affecting like hundreds of thousands of consumers at once, but you don't really see it. But here, just like making like, these 20 people at this party happy for some reason means so much more to me. So also, I
Well,
do want to say, you said things I say no to. I just thought about
yeah.
this. Gluten-free, dairy-free
Yeah.
customers. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, I could do this. This will be a fun challenge, and I'll just add this to my portfolio of things I can do. I don't want to do that ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, I do offer gluten-free, but I don't advertise it whatsoever. Mainly because I'm like, comes with risks because I'm not a
Hmm.
gluten-free bakery. And
Right.
so I need to make sure that it's not like a celiac or,
Right.
severe allergen issue.
Like they
Um,
know it's cross-contaminated. They have to know. Yeah.
it's just impossible. It's
Yeah.
impossible for how much flour I use. But I feel you on that. I have a hard line on vegan, right? Like vegan
Yes.
cookies.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Egg free, like I've tried. The people pleaser in me was like,
Exactly.
sure. And then
Yeah, of course.
you try to make egg free icing.
It doesn't it doesn't produce as many cookies. It's like the ingredients are so much more expensive. I'm like, why did I say yes to this? So that was
Yeah.
another thing I'm saying no to. I also wanted to share that some people do markets first to get their names
Mm.
out there and
Yeah.
then to get custom orders. I did not realize that that's why they did markets. So I actually did markets like even though I was overwhelmed with orders, I was like, I want to do a market. Like barely broke even. And the lesson is like, I don't need to do markets, but I had so much fun. Like you mentioned community, right?
Hmm.
I met so many great bakers and not just bakers, but like other types of vendors that I just like, I've become really good friends with. We've talked about like collaborating maybe, but either way, I just like cookie work is very, especially in in a small environment like me, it's very lonesome. I'm talking to basically my husband. Or like holidays, I'm talking to people who are helping me, like my friends who are helping me, but otherwise it's just solo work. And even though I made no money in those markets, I still feel like it was worth just like finding people in my community who had that same drive and the
Hmm.
same goal of just like wanting to feed people with beautiful things.
I am so glad you shared that because I started the same way where I didn't really do markets.
Right.
And then I was like, well, maybe I should be doing markets. And then I was
Yeah.
kind of like scrambling and then I didn't make money at a lot of them.
No.
And I'm also glad you brought this up because I have since developed a lot of systems around
Hmm.
markets and how to help set yourself up for success if you're going to do
Hmm.
a market. And I have a webinar coming out soon for
Oh,
that. But
ugh. I'm listening to that because I watched hours of YouTube to prepare for my first
yeah,
market.
right. But because like there are just things that are just going to make it easier and
Hmm.
more successful. And from a marketing standpoint, if you put in a little bit of work,
Hmm.
you will pay off
Yeah.
and make your market a little more profitable, hopefully.
Yeah.
At the beginning, markets can just be so important for networking. I think the other thing I want to touch on really briefly is finding your people
Yeah.
because it is lonely work.
Yeah.
I text my husband pictures of like finished cookies and he's just like,
Oh.
and I'm like, so then I text my baker friends and they're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And I'm like, that's the
Yes.
reaction I'm going for.
It's 2 a.m. I put a lot of love into this.
Yeah. And so I do think that there's a lot of value in markets for that and
Mhm.
like networking and finding people that you connect with and can
Yeah.
relate to. And it's
Yes.
like I've shared in a previous podcast with Nikki Smith. She and I have become really good friends just because of the fact that it's like I can call her when I have an order and I'm bawling because I'm like, what did I do? What was I thinking? And she knows because she's been there. We've all been
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
And so finding those people, it's, I think, really valuable. I've connected more with people I've never met in person
Mhm.
online because we can relate so much to business
Yeah.
and making cookies.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, Lynn, we are about out of time. Is there anything else you
Yes.
want to share with our listeners? What would you share to somebody who's thinking about getting started in baking or cookies?
Actually, a lot of friends or like friends, sisters for some reason reach out to me about starting something. They're like, well, how do you do it? Honestly, the first step I took was just building it. Well, I mean, obviously doing it, right? And like giving it to friends and like building out my skill. But in terms of marketing myself and starting the business, I just made an Instagram. I think it's really important to have a portfolio just to show what you can do. It's exhausting. I mean, I am not a content creator at all, and I don't want it to feel like a second job or third job at this point. But it's just important to show, like, just take a couple of pictures. This is what I can do. This is what I have done. And when you do talk to people and say, I make cookies, at least you have something to show them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
that. I
Yeah.
started the exact same way. I was like, well, how do I let the world know what I'm doing?
Right.
Because that's step number one in starting a business. You got to let the
Yes.
world know.
Yeah.
And I chose Instagram as well because of the pictures, because it was picture
Yeah.
driven. That was back in the day when it was like just pictures, right? um, but my goal when I started was 3 posts a week, and they were pictures of
Mm.
my work so that like I could show people what I do. And when I first started to get, I didn't always have 3 orders. Like I had
Right.
to
Right.
photograph everything. And sometimes I
Mhm.
had to break orders up just to get multiple posts because
Right.
I didn't have enough content. But I
Mhm.
built systems to capture content. And like even just last night, I was teaching a class and I was kind of multitasking because it was a smaller class. So I was like grabbing
Right.
some photos and videos and teaching the class. And I just downloaded 73 photos and I took like 20 videos. And then I was like, now I'm at the point where I have too much content and I'm never going to share it.
Yeah, I'm at that point too because I take videos of my work and then I'm like, I don't see like the
Yeah.
either one, I don't like how it looks or like I just don't feel like editing this. The past couple of months has been like particularly hard to share like positivity about cookies, like with everything that's going on in the world. And I was vulnerable and I said that I don't have a lot of followers, but they're really engaged and they listen to all my stories. But I said, I was like, I'm sorry I haven't posted in the past like month or so. I'm just not feeling up to it. It's not even that I'm burnt out. I just like emotionally can't like pretend that everything's rainbows and cookies. And they were just so supportive of that. And it gave me the space to just be kind to myself. And now I'm posting again, which is great. But yeah, sometimes I just don't feel like it.
I'm really glad you share that because
Yeah.
I similarly had a very hard time showing up
Yeah.
January and early
Mm-hmm.
February just with everything that was going on. And I felt like
Right.
every time I opened up social media it was such a negative atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I really just didn't feel like trying to hide how I was
Mm-hmm.
feeling about it. And so I similarly kind of way backed off and
Right.
tanked my algorithm because I it was just like I just can't right now. I can't show
Mm-hmm.
up. I so appreciate you sharing about your business, Treats by Lynn. It's been really fun to learn about how you got started and what you've learned and how you're making it sustainable for you. So thanks for joining today. And is there anything you want to share with our listeners at
Uh,
the end here?
I just want to say thank you for having me. And if anyone's thinking about taking the leap, just do it.
I love that. Yeah, that's the only way you're going to do it, right?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Danny. I really appreciate it.